will say it was slightly stressful when Chris first came in because it was at the 8-week sprint of spring. So it was after spring break, and I knew he was starting full time, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, please stay through the spring. It's 8 Saturdays in a row. You're there every night working events. And he got done and he was like, is it all like this? I go, just the spring.
Hey everybody, this is Rodney Valinga with the West Ottawa High School Athletic Program, and you're listening to the 29-1 podcast. 29 sports, one team. The show that brings you into the lives of student athletes, coaches, and other faces in the Panthers sports community, bringing you the stories you might otherwise never hear. Join myself and Athletic Director Bill Kennedy as we dive in with you to get to know each other a little bit better. Being a high school athlete is not without its challenges. It's physical, it's mental, and injuries can be just around the corner.
Today, we are joined by Chris Schoenrock and Grace Mierendorf, who serve as our athletic trainers here at West Ottawa. Ensuring high-level care to our student athletes is a big task, and these two do an amazing job of doing it with professionalism and compassion.
They've become familiar faces to our entire sports community and spend time with hundreds of West Ottawa students every week.
Chris Schoenrock and Grace Mierendorf, up next on the 29-1 podcast. Let's get it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of the 29-1 podcast. I'm your host, Rodney Valinga, and I am here with Panthers Athletic Director Bill Kennedy, the ever-steady Bill Kennedy. Today we sit down with some very familiar game day faces at West Ottawa High School. If you've been to any athletic event in the last couple of years, you've seen them. They are always present and ready to bounce into action at a moment's notice. It could be a full-out sprint, a light jog, or a quick jump into the golf cart. But they are always there when needed and ready to go, usually with gear galore, either swung across their shoulder as a sling bag or a belt bag fanny pack around the waist like Bill Kennedy had in the early 90s. I am talking about our two beloved athletic trainers at West Ottawa High School who do so much for and spend so much time with our student athletes. And I'm grateful to ask, who is it?
Chris Schoenrock.
And Grace Mierendorf.
Who is it?
Chris?
And Grace.
Oh, yeah. All right, we know these guys.
I talked to Bill Kennedy before and I go, what are our trainers' last names? And I didn't know. And then I know now because I'm not even remember them after that. So...
Yeah, thanks so much for both of you for carving out a little bit of time. I know that time is very valuable in the role of the athletic trainer, especially at a school our size with as many student athletes. We're getting ready for a basketball game here at home tonight. So there's game day duties. Just really appreciate you both kind of coming in like you always do. Reliable, going to spend time and get it done. And we're excited to kind of share your stories a little bit with our community.
Yeah, it's been really fun, for myself, just being around like scores tables and stuff. And I get to chit chat with you guys every now and again. It's been like really fun to get to know you. Even just the little portion of you that I know, it's been really fun. And you guys always bring great energy, passion, commitment, and, really a real love for what you do. And guess what? You guys need it for those long days, don't you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. That and caffeine.
Chris, you told me yesterday, you said every day ends with a question mark. What does that mean for you guys?
It depends on the sporting event or event that we're having throughout that night. As an athletic trainer that most people don't know about, the day starts with you being almost the first person there and usually ends being the last person to leave the building. So
Bill thought it was him.
Well, they are at more events than I am.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Grace, you feel the same way, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's days where you might get to watch the event, and there's other days where you leave and you're like, I just triaged 8 people in a game, and I don't know what the score was. I don't know what happened, and you're just in your car driving home, just making it home. And I mean, there's days too where we get done with football, and I'm putting the golf cart back, and you see Bill drive away, and I'm just walking back across the field, ready to go home.
Sometimes, depending on the day, that walk back is slow because you need that second to kind of recap everything that happened.
Kind of like a what just happened.
Yeah, true. So, depending on what's going on.
I think there was one day I saw either one of you at tennis in the morning, and then later on there was a soccer game at night. I remember, I think it was you, Chris. And I looked at you and I said, "You're still here?"
Yes.
It was like,
It's quote the life that we chose. It's just,
yep, it's all part of it.
yeah, of course.
Got to talk to the guy that does the scheduling and dial that in a little bit better.
Usually somebody that goes into a field that you're in, you've also, you've played sports, right? You were athletes, but you still do some things. We're high school athletes, but a lot of time people don't know the sports you played. Let's go back maybe in time a little bit. Grace, tell us what you did in high school, the sports you were involved in.
Yeah, so growing up, I was always involved in swimming and carried that into high school. I was a all-state, all-conference swimmer all 4 years.
Bang.
Which was super exciting, very proud of that. And then I actually started playing soccer in high school as a dare. If one
No
of my
kidding.
friends did swim, I had to do soccer, and I was a 4-year varsity goalie. But I was very injury prone in both of those. I mean, swimming's a hard enough sport as it is. And then going and playing as a goalie, I'm diving at people's feet and being shot at a daily. So concussions, rolled ankles, jammed thumbs, fingers, whatever. I was in the athletic training room all the time.
And you went to high school, was it Wayland, I believe you said, right?
I lived in Wayland, but I went to North Point Christian. So I had a 45-minute
Come on.
drive every morning.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's a long way. Wow. Okay. You were commuting. Well, you still commute now, so
Yeah.
now your commute is less. It's only 35.
I know,
like you said
10
that.
minutes less.
Yeah. And what about for you, Chris?
I got into sports super early on throughout like elementary, middle, high school. I played. I tried to be involved.
Yeah, this is a list, so
tried.
get started because it's a lot.
I found sports is such a great community of just like learning and being supported, developing relationships. But yeah, my list is pretty long. So anytime a season was available, I was playing something. So baseball was my number one. Played varsity baseball for years. I caught and played short most of the time. I played varsity basketball for 2 years and JV basketball in the beginning. Outside of high school sports, I played ice hockey, roller hockey. I played soccer all 4 years. So it was a huge part of my development and just really loving sports. So yeah, heavily involved. It was great.
I love the multi-sport athlete.
Oh,
we have
man.
multi-sport athletes in
yeah.
our athletic training room.
Oh yeah,
Can only help us
Of
continue
course.
to encourage those kids to try things, right?
Of course.
Part of being around sports, even now, everyone's more or less a sports junkie if you're still hanging around sports these days. A lot of times, I asked you, I talked with you both on the phone the other night, and it was really funny. I knew this was going to be the answer, but I asked you, what led you into this vocation, this field? And I got the answer I expected. Grace, maybe you want to go first?
Yeah, like I said, I was a very injury-prone athlete, so swimming is just so taxing on your body, and I swam basically every single event. But mostly I was that 200, 500, and then in college I swam the mile and stuff. And going from like physical therapy and then being in the athletic training room during soccer, I just knew I wanted to do something to help people after watching all those people help me. But I'm not a big needles person, so I knew nursing was not the move.
You're better with little needles?
Yeah, but also like broken bones, that's fine.
Yeah.
Blood, that's fine. It's just the having to put needles in people. I was like, if I could have a job without that, that'd be great.
And you found it.
I found it.
Did you have like a major injury, or was it more just kind of like a smaller injuries that you were just consistently getting treatment for?
Yeah, they were just smaller injuries here and there. For my name being Grace, I was a very ungraceful athlete. So I was just used to being in there for little bumps and bruises and little things here and there.
And then, Chris, your situation was a little bit different. What pushed you towards athletic training? Maybe tell us about the event in I believe it was high school that kind of got you down this path.
Sure. Yeah. I think it was my junior year when I was playing baseball. I was catching mid-game, going in for a slide, I think into maybe second base, and I actually tore my ACL. So that was a major point of my athletic career that really brought me back and made me really appreciate the rehab aspect of things. I went to a sports medicine clinic and seen a physician talking about surgery, and to be honest with you, when I was there, I was like, this is great. I enjoyed the, aspect of helping others. And I saw a lot of other athletes with, potentially the same type of injury. So that was a big part that pushed me towards athletic training, to help other athletes. And honestly, at this point, live through them kind of at this point, to just like hope for their successes and just really get them back to what they love. So like I experienced that firsthand, and it's just so nice to really implement that into the high school now.
Yeah, I also dealt with some injuries, but it's really the reason why if somebody asks me for a bag of ice, like I know how to get the air out of the bag because I watched it so many times.
Oh, yeah.
The skill.
There wasn't really a lot of interaction with athletic trainers at your schools, though, right? I know for you, Chris, there was pretty much nothing. Grace, I don't know what yours was, but maybe, Chris, you want to talk about your experience with that injury.
Sure.
And what was available at your school resources back then?
To be honest with you, we didn't have a like full-time athletic trainer. There was I think a mother from one of the athletes on the football team that would come and maybe just help with Band-Aids so like I never knew what an athletic trainer was actually until I kind of got into college and pursued it. So it's so nice to see the difference now, to have that medical provider on site immediately to help these kids and refer them or take care of them the way that they need to. So like I really didn't have that at the time. So it was kind of either me take care of myself or kind of just, figure it out. So yeah,
What years were you in high school?
That was a little while ago. I was in high school from 2006 to 2010.
Oh, so, man, even between 2006 and 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. I got involved in high school athletics here in Michigan in 2004, and we had full-time athletic trainers. But if you're not from a highly populated area, I would say that it's going to be way more difficult to find trainers, or a less affluent area, right? Schools just could not afford to bring somebody on staff. West Ottawa was a little different because we had the legendary Deb Keekover back in the 1970s come on board. Who really kind of pushed what we're doing here at West Ottawa initially. But yeah, there are still schools out there that don't have a full-time on-staff person. They'll basically rotate through resource individuals that'll come in and treat athletes each and every day. That's what we had when I was in high school. We had a trainer that would come in twice a week. So
you guys both went to school for this. You both went to different places. Grace, you went to Indiana Wesleyan, and Chris went to Central Michigan.
Yes.
Tell us about the because we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but you sometimes take different approaches to problems or trying to solve things. What was your experience at Indiana Wesleyan just as a college student?
Yeah, so I initially enrolled as an exercise science major because I was still torn between like PT or AT. And I had a professor named Adam Thompson. He's still there as a professor and an athletic trainer. And he came in and spoke to our intro to exercise science class. And he was like, this is what athletic training is. And I was hooked. The passion he had for it, the experiences he had were absolutely amazing. He actually traveled with the Paris Olympics fencing and saber team this past year.
No kidding.
Which was so cool to see and be like, oh my gosh, I know that guy.
Right.
But the professors there and the preceptors and the athletic trainers, they only care about you growing as an athletic trainer. And it's a smaller school, so you weren't one of 100. You were literally, I think my cohort was about 7-8 kids. So you got to work so closely with your cohort, and then knowing them, they cared about you individually. They made sure you got to learn the skills that they knew you were struggling with because they were also your teachers. So they would get my test back and be like, oh, you were struggling with the hip and knee. Guess what's going to happen today when you're at basketball practice? If a kid walks in with a hip or a knee, that's all you. We're going to learn, we're going to grow and go from there.
Yeah. How about yourself, Chris?
To be honest with you, I actually went to Central Michigan to be an accountant, which was just
very similar.
So outside of, like I said, leaving high school and everything, not having an athletic trainer.
Right. Why would you even think of it?
It wasn't really on my forefront, but I think it might have been in my second semester there that some of the athletic training classes were close, and I got to meet a couple friends that were in the program, and instantly I had to make this switch. So I was like, am I going to take on a new 4-year degree? Absolutely. I love this. This is going to get me back into the sports aspect of things, helping kids or whatever environment that I decide to work with. And it was the greatest decision I ever made. So I'm happy that I made that switch over. And the program itself, like there's like Grace, there's only a cohort of about 8 people that go through the program at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes like your athletic training tight family. So it's very closely related, and it's nice to see like-minded individuals that see things exactly the same way. So yeah, it was a great experience, and I'm super happy I made that transition.
Did the accounting classes transfer over into that second major?
I thought about doing a minor in it, but honestly, the athletic training program is so intense that most may not know about, that there was not much time for it. So those accounting skills are just in my back pocket now.
I think you still use them with all the administrative work you do.
Yeah,
we'll
it
get
comes
to
in
it a little
handy
bit later.
with us having to do like our orders and stuff, working on the spreadsheets.
Yeah, it comes in clutch spots, but I'm super happy to make that.
There's a good trick that you can use in life. Like even for example, with some of the administrative work, you can say, well, Chris, you're really good at it. And I'm not. Maybe you want to do that. It's a good way to get out of something.
Talk to us a little bit about kind of first arrival here at West Ottawa. Both kind of came in at a little bit different times. Grace, you initially started as halftime through our agreement with Corewell Health. You were working primarily with middle school, and then we had a space open here. Chris, you kind of came in a little bit later. I guess, what were your kind of first impressions of West Ottawa, and kind of what led you to think, oh, that would be a pretty cool spot to go and serve in this role?
Yeah, so I initially came out to visit with Frank and Juliana. They were the full-time ATs here at the time I was interviewing, and they presented the role of the part-time being more working with the middle school population. And I was really passionate about working with that younger population because they don't know a lot about their bodies. Mm-hmm. So everything is, oh my gosh, it's broken. I'm dying. And so like they just need the education of even what's the difference between like soreness and pain. So I came in, and coming from a very small high school, it was a lot at first. And it was kind of like being thrown to the wolves at some point, but it allowed me to grow my athletic training skills so quickly because I had such amazing mentors like Frank and Juliana who kind of took my hand and showed me the ropes. Mm-hmm. And then getting the experience as being that part-time person and still having 20 hours a week where I could go pick up other shifts through Corewell allowed me to get used to working other sports, different settings, and just kind of hone those skills even more so that when there was that full-time position opening up, I felt really comfortable moving into it.
Yeah, and then shortly thereafter, maybe not that shortly thereafter, but Juliana decides to kind of transition in her career, opening up the spot for you, Chris. You were kind of coming to us from a different perspective, right? Coming out of the clinic and coming into the high school space.
Yeah, so I worked at a orthopedic clinic. It was an urgent care for 2 years. And to be honest, I enjoyed the experience and seeing different injuries and how the management of, acute fractures or wounds or splinting was taking place there. However, I was losing a little bit of my clinical physical exam skills that I wanted to get back into. I have this end goal potentially, hopefully one day, to be a physician assistant. And I just thought that coming back into going to a large high school setting like West Ottawa was going to allow me to have that day-to-day experience with athletes and kids and parents. And geez, the community here was so accepting of a new healthcare provider just taking care of their kids on a daily. So it has been so great just to see the community buy-in and also like the support and warmth, honestly, from just seeing parents on the sidelines just being happy that we're here. And it's been really welcoming and just so happy to make that move over to the secondary school setting from the clinic. So it's been great.
I will say it was slightly stressful when Chris first came in because it was at the 8-week sprint of spring. So it was after spring break, and I knew he was starting full time, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, please stay through the spring. It's 8 Saturdays in a row. You're there every night working events. And he got done and he was like, is it all like this? I go, just the spring. The spring.
Yeah, I did come in during a pretty high traffic time of not having much time to really get bearings or anything that I thought kind of the slow transition, which was great because I think a huge learning aspect that I always stand by is just going into the Shark Tank. And it was just really great to just get right in, start getting to know and developing relationships with athletes. And yeah, I got through that initial spring and rocking and rolling ever since. So
yeah, the spring is a different animal.
Oh, no doubt about it.
The fall's pretty high too, but
yeah.
Let's talk about where a lot of people in the community see you, which is usually on a game day. Mm-hmm. Right, so there's sidelines. Usually, stuff starts in the fall, so it's at football. Somebody gets injured on the field, and you guys are out there. The whole place gets quiet as you guys do your work. That's where we see you. Do you find it stressful? I mean, I'm just gonna ask this right away. Like the possibility of something serious is just around the corner at any moment. What's that like? Maybe Grace, you want to go first?
It's a weird calm before the storm. Like I would say, I'm paying attention. I'm alert. I'm looking for those things, making sure that like kids are getting up, watching mechanisms of like how kids are getting hit or whatever's going on. But I don't feel as nervous when something occurs.
You're seasoned now, right?
Yeah. It's the afterwards where like, okay, you just did whatever, handled that emergency situation, called 911, and then now you have a kid walking up to you being like, can you tape my fingers? Like, I need a buddy tape. And I'm just like, did you not just see what just happened? Like, you just go right back into it. And that's like, it's just part of the job.
Yeah.
Always ready.
Yeah. I think my standpoint from it is just over time, you develop that response to either emergency or being called to a situation that maybe normal individual or someone would not be super comfortable with, but we love this to the extent of things like bones or traumatic injuries. We find a comfortability, to be honest with you.
You get calm during that time, don't you?
Yeah. So, which is super great too for both community, parent, and the athlete themselves to just have a comfortable space
100%.
To just know that they will be taken care of in a way that it's not like, oh my God, what's going on? So it's a huge aspect for us to keep that comfortable mindset to take care of the athletes the way we need to. So we get used to it. So there's a seasoned aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that's really helped too, right, is the MHSAA recently came out with kind of the edict that everybody has to have emergency action plans and put those in place. And you guys drill those with our teams. So I'm sure that reduces anxiety a little bit as well, right, Chris?
Yes. Planning is a huge aspect of what we do every day too. So it's a lot easier during these traumatic or emergency situations, knowing that we have an EAP in place. We know who we need to call during traumatic injuries or who's the faculty behind who's going to be taking care of calling 911 or who's going to be there with our emergency bag. So the preparation behind what we do is a huge aspect that makes us calm during those situations.
And it also provides a sense of peace for the kids. Like the times we've had to provide emergency care, the kids are at so much more peace knowing like, okay, me and the coaches just saw the athletic trainers do this at practice. And I know my coaches can do it. I know my teammates can help if needed. They know what they're doing. I'm in good hands.
Correct. Yeah. I think that's a huge aspect of all of the like preseason or prep drills that we do with teams, that if or when this does occur, there's a comfortability of we know what to do. We understand. And that just allows things to go so much smoother. So it's nice.
Grace, you had mentioned this just briefly when you get started, but when I was on the phone with you, I said, hey, what's something I don't know about you that I can ask you and I'll be surprised? And you said, well, it's the way you watch a game.
Yes.
And it's very different. So the layperson sitting out in the stands like, oh, they're just sitting there waiting for the next ankle to tape, right? I mean, that's kind of the ignorant approach, if you will, and I'll be that guy. But the way you guys watch games is much different than that. Tell us, maybe take turns about it, but, or go back and forth. What's it like to watch a game for you is much different than the regular person.
Yeah, if you ask me who scored last or what the score is, I will have no idea. Like, you'll see me at soccer sidelines where they'll be like, did you see what jersey number scored that? I was like, nope. I'm looking at the person that jumped up in the air to head the ball. Did their ankles roll in when they landed? That person got slide tackled. Do they have any blood on their shins? Volleyball players, I watch the ball hit their hands and then I watch their feet hit the floor. Like, I am not watching the game. I'm watching any points of contact. I mean, let's talk about hockey for a second. Yeah, they get hit into the boards, but the second they fall, there are literal blades in the air heading towards heads, arms, hands, whatever. So it's just those different things of we're watching those points and making sure like everyone's getting up, no one's limping, no one's holding anything, there's no blood on jerseys, things like that, rather than congrats, so-and-so just got a touchdown, or that was a great spike. Like, we're just focused on everyone's up, great.
Chris, do you ever find, if you probably watch sports on TV a certain way, but when you go to other events, are you able to turn that off when you watch sports, or is it always a little bit like that?
Sometimes. I feel like when I'm watching, just like in my own time, say like the NFL recently, we watch games in such a different aspect that we're so behind safety that, like as a sports fan, you love that big hit. But in your mind, you're like, are they doing the right thing to take care of this guy? So, we definitely watch games in just a different safety and taking care of the athlete's mindset, that like we're looking at like biomechanics, or we're looking at, mechanism of injury, like Grace said. So we're looking at more of a deeper level of how we're going to treat them if, anything occurs. Yeah.
It's similar for me when I go to games. I'm paying attention to like video boards and what are they doing? What kind of music soundtrack? All of those things, because we want to use some of that. I'm not really paying attention to Lamar Jackson breaking ankles.
Yep.
No, you're not even concerned.
Joy to see it, but
I will say it's nice for fantasy football because, like, I know how long an injury should take to recover, so I know whether I need to make the switch or not. And like, we definitely get texts from like family and friends where
are they
like,
really questionable?
So and so. Yeah. Would you think they'll be back on Sunday?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big part within my, we'll say, fantasy football aspect. A couple guys would be like, "Hey, man, he looks like he's out for a week. He'll be good." I'm like, "Listen, we understand what happened, and you should probably sit him for a couple days."
Yep.
That is so hilarious.
That's good to know. Next year, I'm you guys on the text.
You think it's just the people they're doing that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, you're doing that to me now.
I had Christian McCaffrey on my roster this year. I really could have used some insight.
That was a lot of bad number one picks with that one. That's for sure. I always get a great kick out of, not when it's serious, but when it's not as serious, when you guys roll into action.
Sure.
I always think it's really fun. Chris, we were sitting in the gym the other day, and I said, it would be really fun to kind of shoot a video of you guys right when the moment comes.
Ooh, okay.
And we were sitting in the bleachers, and I said, Chris, there might be a chance where you're going to have to be on the floor, but look, it's blocked. You can't get on. And the only way for you to get to the middle of the floor is to take a single leap over that scorer's table.
Yes.
Could you clear it?
I think so.
We can go
test it out.
Neitzel or Dykema got their super slow-mo camera. You jump over the camera. I think you slide in when you see people. You go to that fanny pack, and there's nothing there, and you make eye contact with Grace. Grace goes in that run down to the end, picks something out of that fanny pack, and the only way she can get it to you is to that long throw it in the air in nice slow motion. And the catch is made.
Yes.
And everything will be just fine. That's how I see it every time you guys go out there.
That soundtrack might play in
pretty
my
close,
head next
right?
time something occurs. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much what it is. All joking aside, I also actually am a very big fan of when you guys are in the moment, that's a serious one, the interactions you have with that student athlete. Can you talk about what you're doing right when you get on the scene and what you're trying to take care of with somebody?
Yeah, I mean, initially it's ruling out fracture, seeing how Like, is it an emergency situation or not? Can we get this person moved off of the playing surface, or do we need to have them hang out there a little bit longer, do a further evaluation? Those are the first things we're doing. We're checking ABCs. Often if they're crying and screaming, it's okay because they're breathing. So it's much like some people would be like, oh my gosh, they're like, it's an emergency. This is awful. I'm like, sometimes they just need a minute to get things out. But you're just checking on them and letting them know that you're there, letting them know that we're on their time. Take a minute to breathe. When you feel ready, I'll check out your joints, see how things are looking. Okay, feels good. Let's move you to the side and then continue the evaluation further.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that you guys never rush. And, just observing it from a distance, I mean, you're really engaged with that injured player.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It, like, going back to what Grace said, the going out to the injured player, like, they're at a point where they think, I need to be quick, I need to get up. And we let them know, like, this is a comfortable time. This is your time. This game will continue as soon as we're able to kind of manage or find out what's going on with you. So we give them that smaller amount of time that they need to make sure that they're okay to continue. But we do go through a checklist to make sure that, before they're getting up and everything, we're making sure that by them doing so, that they're okay to make it to the sideline so we can do that further evaluation to find out exactly what's going on with them.
Yeah, I do a great job with that. Well, prepping for a game, you guys always have lots of stuff. If you're driving, Bill has a golf cart around. Do you guys share a golf cart, or do you each have one?
It depends on the day. Sometimes if like one of us is working soccer and the other's at like lacrosse, we might have to borrow Bill's once in a while.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. But you have so much to do. Like, do you ever have a situation where you're not prepped? Because you have what? You usually have a bag on your shoulder. You have a fanny pack? Sometimes
a shoulder bag.
He took that as an insult.
No,
he did.
No.
That's a sling bag, bag, buddy.
No, we have so much supplies for every situation. So like maybe the general consensus is they have just tons of tape. That might be. I mean, we do have a lot of tape.
There is tape.
Yes. but we have splint bags. We have vacuum splints. We have airway, different. Things to restart the heart. We have an AED. Yeah, we have so much supplies that is, brought from each place that gets easier over time. But if you were to take a look at the equipment we have, you're like, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have that long extended cart with the
Yes.
sweet yellow seat for a reason.
And we fill it every game day.
Yeah.
Multiple trips for a
Yes.
football night.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
To completion.
Yep.
Definitely.
So that's the public view of you.
Yep.
And now we got a whole other category or two. Now we're going to go to where the kids see you. Whole different thing that's going on in the background. If you're at this high school every day, you see it. Bill sees it. People that walk through the halls see it. But a lot of us parents don't. I've seen it because I've had kids in there. But let's talk maybe about the training room, the medical room, healthcare facility. You guys have turned that into a very comfortable, welcoming, safe environment.
Yeah. I mean, one of the first things is like kids get to call us by our first names. We're not Mr. or Mrs. It's not Mr. Ma'am. Like it's you're Grace and Chris. You can call us Grace and Chris. It's a comfortable environment. And kids get comfortable quickly in it. And it's something we appreciate because it lets us know that they feel comfortable with us and they trust us with their care. But they are in there. The second that bell rings at 2:43, there's a line out the door and they are ready to get treatments, taping, rehab, get ready to go to practice and games and be on their way. But it's nice even to have the kids that just swing by, pop in, and they're like, oh my gosh, hi. Like, and we tell kids all the time, we're like, you don't have to be injured to come say hi to us. You are allowed to swing by. You are allowed to hang out. Yes, there are times we're busy and we may ask you to just hang out in the hallway or come back in an hour or so, but it's such a nice feeling to know that they're comfortable with us and that they trust us and that we're just able to be those people for some of them. Some of them just need a listening ear outside of getting injuries treated and stuff like that. And whether it's they want to talk about what they want to do for college or things that happened at home or, oh my gosh, I didn't sleep anything like in the past 2 days. I'm exhausted. Can I take a nap on the back table with a hot pack? I'm like, go ahead. I'll let coach know. Sleep.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a really beneficial aspect in the mindset of these student athletes is we're the first or like the only healthcare provider for them that's on site. So not only do we see injuries that happen at a game, but something that happens at home. If, like Grace said, a listening ear, where we can bring an athlete in and shut the door and they just need to talk. They need to decompress. They need to ask a question that allows us to feel like a role model, which is nice to, like help them with, hey, I'm struggling with classes. I'm a multi-sport athlete. So it's nice that we can, with our experience already going through that, be able to give some insight and just allow that comfortability and provide good care for them. So it's great.
And knowing that we have their back. There's outside pressures from coaches, parents, whatever it may be, college coaches, where they're like, I feel like I need to go. And I'm trying to listen to my body and what's going on. And it's like, if you need me to be the bad guy, because this is bothering you, I'll take one for the team and I will let whoever I need to know that you need a day off.
Yes.
If you are in season during this sport, I will let your other coaches know, like, hey, cut them some slack. They're dealing with this injury. They need some time to recover and they just feel pressured. So it's allowing us to advocate for our athletes. And that's one of the biggest parts of our job is just being an advocate for them and letting them know we're on their team.
Correct.
And you guys come at kind of the job, the profession from a different angle than most of the other people that our student athletes interact with on a daily basis, right? We were all education majors and went to school to become teachers and that sort of thing. What is getting and building those relationships with high school kids, right, who bring a certain energy about them? What has that done for you kind of in your profession? Maybe is like something you didn't really think about even when you went into AT.
Chris is still playing baseball at 32.
She is. Hitting rockets at Coach Hoey.
I can't stop. Yeah, it's nice to be engaged in my own sporting outside. But back to what you were saying, Bill, it's nice to develop these trust aspects between kids. That we have kids that come in and they don't know what they want for their next step within their career or what they want to go to school for, but they're so engaged and intrigued with what we do that they're always asking, like, can I shadow you? Can I see what you guys do? I would love to do this. You guys help so many people. I feel like that's something that I would like. So it's really nice to just see the response back from these athletes too, saying like, we appreciate everything you do so much that we want to do that too. And that keeps us going. That is literally the horsepower behind what we do on a daily, because we're reaching to kids in the high school that want to do the same thing, which is nice. It's growing the career, but yeah, it's nice to have that trust-based relationship that they're teach me what you do. I would love to do this for the rest of my life. So it's just nice.
And working with them too, I think specifically these West Ottawa athletes are something else. They're so great. And I mean, getting to know them, having the relationships with them, getting to just be there for them is so fulfilling, because that's what they need. They need someone that's there. And we're there all the time. We get calls, texts, emails. They come in and visit, hang out. We'll get messages throughout the day where they're like, are you guys in yet? Can I come see you? And the energy these kids bring and the appreciation they have for what they do, like, makes it so much easier coming in each and every day, because you know that the kids truly appreciate you. And they appreciate your help. And even though it may be a situation where you're holding them out on the sideline and they are upset and they are angry, the next day they come in, tail between their legs, and they're like, hey, can I talk to you quick? I am so sorry. I was upset. You were just trying to do the best for me to keep me safe. And sometimes it feels like we're parents to hundreds of athletes where they're like, have you seen my jersey? I think I left my headphones in here. Where's my phone? Do you have any snacks? I don't think I drank enough water today. Can I borrow a water bottle? But it's just so rewarding.
Yeah.
If we were to take a snapshot picture of what's going on there in the afternoon, say it's 3:30 in the afternoon, what different things would we see? What type of treatments would be done, might that look like?
Every table is full.
Every table is full. Yeah. Usually even off-season based. Every table is full. There's a line down the hall. We got kids doing rehab, coming back from certain injuries to do with their sports-specific aspect of things. We're doing initial evaluations, trying to find out what's going on, or if we think that it's something that needs to be referred for potentially, fracture, that we have a good team physician, Dr. Block, who works in Holland as well, that we could have quick communication with. So we're doing all of that referring and kind of delegating. We do tape. We do a good handful of taping. For
The
kids.
stereotypical.
Yeah.
That's why it's a stereotype.
The things people expect. I mean, there's coolers in the hallway if we're prepping for events, or the golf carts being loaded. Equipment might be on tables or in doorways because we're working, getting it out the door where it needs to be. There might be kids in the hallway doing rehab. There might be kids in the locker rooms doing rehab outside. We use our space the best we can.
Yes.
And then every table is full. In between tables are athletes doing stuff, rolling out, stretching. It becomes a triage clinic the second 243 hits. We're trying to get kids in and out, get them what they need, prioritize based on, okay, you got to hop on the bus. Let's get you in first. We'll get you taped, get on out of here. Okay, you walked in on crutches. You're not practicing today. You can wait a minute till I get you a clear table, and then just going from there. And then the second about 4 o'clock hits, we're either going to events or we get a minute to breathe, and we're back in our office doing documentation stuff.
Yeah, there's a tight window at 2:43, and then we have, basketball games will start at 4 o'clock. Now, winter is maybe a little bit easier because the ATR is right across the hallway from the gym. But when we get into the springtime and we've got tennis at 4, baseball at 4, softball at 4, soccer at 4, it gets rolling.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like everybody wanted their water at 2:30.
Oh, 100%. And we try sometimes when we get in early, we're like, okay, let's just run waters out now because there's no way we'll be able to get everything out with our equipments in time. And then there's other days too where we're like, hey, it's 3:30 is the last time we can put an athlete on a table.
True.
Because then we got to get everyone out, clean, grab our stuff, and get out to events. So we'll normally write in our door, we'll be like, if you are not inside this door at 3:30, I am so sorry, but we will have to see you tomorrow.
Just very fast paced. So we're trying to give each athlete the time and the care and a good plan of care, that they need. But yeah, we're rocking and rolling, and we're getting everybody in and out as quick as possible before we have to get out to the event. And then, we're ready for any situation out there. So
we have crushed the nonverbal communication while in the after school rush, where we can just give each other a look, and the other person will okay, yeah, I'll go do waters. I'll go do this. Hey, can you grab me this? And we're not even saying a word. We're just looking at each other and we're like, yeah, gotcha. Okay, I'll go jump and do that quick.
Yeah.
Telepathic communication at this point, huh?
Yes.
Just the look will do it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you get you guys do some really nice things, and you had mentioned this earlier, but you have student trainers that come in.
Yes.
This is a cool program that's within West Ottawa. Can you talk about that a little bit? Chris, you want to maybe start us off?
Sure, yeah. So throughout the last maybe year and a half, this is un-high school related. I'll kind of transition over that we've been having Grand Valley students come first and second semester, coming over and spending almost every day with us. So they get to see what we do, the way we're treating athletes, the individualized rehab plans we're making. And that transitions over to high school athletes too, that we found we have 2 at the moment that are with us, I would say maybe 10 to 15 hours a week.
Yeah.
They're there for the after school rush. They're there for events. They're there for prep. We're teaching them documentation. So it is so great to just see these kids coming and wanting to learn what we do, and we put them as part of the team too.
Yeah.
So
you do.
We give them maybe a week or so, and anybody who another athlete that has a question is hey, they are part of the team now. So that gives them a comfortable aspect to continue working with us, and they're just building their skills. So it's really great to have.
It's going to really help set themselves apart from others who may be entering programs, and they're coming in with hundreds of hours of time already spent, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, our first student, Lily, reached out to us last fall, and she reached out and was just like, I just want to observe some football. And then she was observing hockey, and then she was observing soccer. And
so she reached out to you.
She reached out to us, and then summer hit, and we're like, we want to teach you more.
Yeah.
You want to learn more. Let's teach you more. So she came a couple days in the summer, and we got her learning taping. We got her learning what's in our kits, what to grab in certain situations, emergency protocols. And then she worked all football season with us and just really bought in. She has a Excel sheet with all of her hours and everything she's like learned throughout. So different skills. She's learned spine boarding with us. She's learned different tapings, whether that would be ankle, wrist, knee, Achilles.
With all this, she could probably pick up an accounting minor first couple of years.
Probably. But it's just super cool to see, because like it's a difference between having a college student, like master's degree student, come out and you're a preceptor for them because they are assigned to you and they have to come out. It's part of their grade. These high school students, Lily and Mariah, they have really bought in where they're like, I want to do this and I want to learn more. And there's always those first couple of weeks of like trial and error where we're like, do you actually know what we do? Is this actually what you wanted to do? You show them the good, the bad, the ugly. And then they're like, yes, this is what I want to do. I am heavily bought in. This is exciting. Teach me more. And they just want to watch us do our jobs and learn. And it's so exciting. We love teaching. It's something we're both really passionate about. So being able to just teach our jobs to these kids and help them look at colleges and look at different programs, look at different settings. We're able to help them get in and observe different settings and then show them other opportunities as well moving forward to just help them grow their love for athletic training.
Oh, yeah. And it's really great, too, that Lily and Mariah both have talked about already looking into schools, and Lily is already applying to an athletic training program. It's just so nice to see what we're doing is really paying off for these kids. And like Bill said, they're developing skills that their first semester, they may already have these fundamentals within athletic training, and they're just going to advance with them throughout their high school or their college career.
Yeah.
So nice to listen to some very proud parents.
It feels like that some
really
days.
nice.
We're like, come on, kids, grab your bags. We're going out to the basketball games.
We got a couple hundred kids. Yeah.
One thing that really actually shows, and I think Bill will kind of appreciate this as well, is when we observe you from the outside, you guys have a really nice relationship. Like when we see you in public space and interacting, it's very, very positive. Chris, can you talk about Grace a little bit? What's nice about working with her? You know, how do you guys balance each other out?
Of course. Yeah. So it's really nice to have both male and female athletic trainer at the school here as well. Some situations or smaller high schools, you may only have, one, but you have to treat athletes that are both male and female. So depending on injury based or rehab or tape or anything that you need to do, there's a barrier that within healthcare that it is so nice to have grace for the female population of things. And I just think that our dynamic back and forth since, being here is it's getting telepathic at this point.
Yeah,
so
by the way, for the listening audience, whenever one is talking, the other one is nodding with a smile on their face, and it just keeps going back and forth like, yes, I agree, yep,
These are things we talk about like on a daily, like getting to know each other and talking about things we appreciate about each other. I mean, there's this dynamic in the office where it's almost like yin and yang, like where I may lack in something, he can pick up and take care of that. And it's so nice. There's times where I may need to be a little more tough love of an athlete, or they just may need more gentle approach to things.
Sure. And
his background too in the clinic allows whenever we have to refer somebody to a urgent care, he's able to give them a kind of layout of what's going to happen when they get there, or why they should go to an orthopedic urgent care versus a normal urgent care, or hey, we can treat this in-house and here's why, because you're going to go to the urgent care and this is what they're going to do.
Correct.
And I can do that here. And that's really exciting. And we both like playing different sports allows us to be able to talk lingo. So when I'm talking like test set about swim, he's like, what are you talking about? But like when we get to more like baseball, hockey stuff, I'm just like, Chris, help. Like, what are they saying? What are these terms?
True.
And we just adapt from there. Cheer and wrestling is a different world for both of us. So learning those terms have kind of been team effort, but
Yeah, I'd say so.
It's a nice dynamic and it's fun because like we always have times where we're laughing and then there's times where we're able to check in with each other and be like, hey, do you need a minute? You had a really rough day with that sport yesterday. There was a lot of injuries. It was really busy. Let me take something off your hand. And if you have a vacation or I have a vacation, we can kind of swap things back and forth. But it's just really that relationship of like checking in with each other. We try to do that as much as we can, even if it's just 10 minutes once we're both in, being like, what do you need from me? What can I take off your plate? Hey, do you mind taking this off my plate? And things like that.
Yeah, it's really great to, say emergency situation or types of things that you have throughout your day. It's nice to know that once you are able to complete that and things are okay, you still have your own personal aspect that you might need a second. So it's nice to have grace to, easily step right in and have the confidence and trust that things will continue on exactly if you were there as well. So it's nice that we both have the same mindset of taking care of the kids here and making sure everything's great. So yeah, there are times of very seriousness, but also we get a good laugh in too. So it's comfy. It's nice.
So you both spend a lot of time here at West Ottawa.
Yes.
There's a grind to it all. But you are both going through this. You're not alone. Yep. You have significant others at home who have really allow you to chase this job and to chase this passion. Chris, we'll start with you. Maybe talk a little bit. Give your significant other a shout out.
Of course, Bianca. Thank you. It's nice to have a significant other who understands, quote, quote, this life. So like the long hours, the amount of time I'm at the school, but it's also nice too that she's been able to come and be on the sideline of a football game, or I've had her at a baseball game, and she just loves the environment. And it's so nice to hear afterwards that she's so like extremely proud and happy to see what I'm doing here, that her support was already great with it. But the time that I may spend away from her and I'm here, she knows, what it entails and what I'm doing. So it's so much easier. It's a nice dynamic to know that, full support by your significant other. So yeah, it's great.
I think my biggest thing is, so Evan is my high school sweetheart. We've been together over a decade and married for 2 years. So we really grew up together.
Really?
Yes. Wow. So we both played sports in high school. We went to different high schools. We lived far away. He was in Lowell and I was in Wayland. So it was about an hour drive in between. So we did the distance thing, and that really helped us grow as people. And then when we got married, started living together, and I'm doing a job where I am gone afternoon to evening, and he's a blue collar worker. He's an electrician, so he does the early mornings to the mid afternoons or sometimes all day. So finding that time and that balance where he might have a little bit later of a night because he's coming to a game to just see me, spend time with me, even if it's just standing on the sideline while I do my thing. Yeah, it's date night.
Yeah. Friday night football.
But so it's so nice having that support from them, because they genuinely see that we love what we do and they want to be a part of it and they want to come visit. And the kids are hilarious when they find out we have significant others, because they ask a gazillion questions.
Right. They don't see you as anything other than what is presented to them on a 100%. Daily basis, right?
True.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, your life with your significant others will just have to wait, because we are only a few hours away from tonight's basketball games. Just want to say thanks for coming in and sitting down with us. I know the shoulder bag needs to be readied.
Oh, yeah.
You are truly appreciated here. Your positions are professional. They're highly skilled. They could be filled by a lot of people, but we are very grateful that they are filled by you, Grace, and by you, Chris. We couldn't have better people in your positions. And remember, everybody, we are West Ottawa. We are community. We are each other. 1 second. I think I heard something in the hall. You need a what? You need a trainer? Guys, I heard someone's calling for a trainer. Trainer!
We'll be right there.
I hear that in my sleep some days.
Thanks, you guys. It's been a blast.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
If you have enjoyed listening to the 29-1 podcast, be sure to like and subscribe. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.